It almost seems like every other week a platform is making major changes. And on top of that, the same items and brands, some of them that sold well last year, just aren't performing as well this year. In today's video, I'm going to share exactly what I'm doing in my business and my takes on what all resellers should do to stay ahead of the curve as we go into 2026. Hi, my name is Bethany and I, along with my husband Sean, run Trash Pandas Thrift. We're a six-figure reselling business, and here on this channel, we share with you all of our tips, tricks, and experiences, all so that you can start and grow your very own reselling business too. Amid all of these changes, how do we set ourselves up in the best way for success in our businesses in 2026? Today, I hope to share with you guys exactly what I'm doing and what you could do in yours. I have 3 steps to share with you guys today. Let's break it down from the beginning. Step number 1 is treating your business like a business and knowing what you're actually making. That means keeping track of all of your numbers, and I mean all of your numbers. This is incredibly important because you need to know what's working for you, not for anyone else. Here are just some of the many metrics that I keep track of in my business that you could keep track of in yours. The first thing that's super important to know is, what is your store sell-through rate? On my channel, I often share my goal for my store sell-through rate, and not only is that my goal, I'm constantly measuring my actual data up against that goal, analyzing to make sure that I'm doing everything right, and those metrics are showing me that I'm in a healthy growth area for my business. Keeping track of your store sell-through rate can be incredibly important to make sure that you're actually getting real insight into the demand of your items. And although this is going to exclude longer tail items, it gives you a good insight into how you're actually listing your items. Are you listing your items to sell in a short period of time if that is your goal? And if you're not, it can give you even better insight into how you're actually sourcing and in what ways can you source better for your business. The second metric is going to be, what is your average sales price? And going along with that, what is your average cost of goods per piece? And if that's too high based on your actual profit, how can you lower it? These are all questions that I ask myself in my business monthly, and things I highly recommend you keep track of in yours. The last question is going to be, what is your average profit per piece after all of your expenses? This is a good one. This actually keeps in mind the totality of what you're doing. What did you actually make in terms of profit in your wallet after you took this item home from a thrift store, processed it, pictured it, listed it, shipped it, maybe got a return, did everything you had to do with this item? What did you actually profit at the end of the day? Is this sustainable for you? That's always a question I ask myself. And if it is sustainable for you, then great. How can you scale your business from there? And if not, what needs to happen to make a profit that is sustainable for you? Oftentimes, we're going to talk about this today, it is the smallest changes that truly make the greatest impact. For example, let's say I lowered my cost of goods by $1 and I was listing 100 items a month. Just in that scenario, just by lowering my cost of goods by $1, I'd be able to save $100 every single month. These are some of the most important metrics that I keep track of in my business, and I highly recommend that you sit down and make sure you know these data points for your own. Knowing your numbers gives a realistic snapshot of what's actually going on in your business. The numbers, it's like going to the doctor, right? You get to see what's going on, actually zooming in and figuring out what are the missing pieces or the pieces that are going really right in your business. This is super important. That's why it's step number 1. We're going to need this as we go into step number 2. And that is because you can't know what needs to be done in your business if you don't know what's actually going on. That brings me to step number 2. Be armed with data and be strategic with your next moves. This only works with step number 1 already done. That's because changing without actually analyzing how it affects you and your business alone, that's not a decision. That's just a reaction. If anyone is trying to tell you what to change in your business without actually knowing what's going on, be very wary. Oftentimes, the only person that knows what's going on in your business should be you. And that person should be you after you go through everything we already said in step 1. That is how we're going to be able to make proactive small steps if you do decide you need to change something going into 2026. If a certain strategy that you're already implementing or using right now is working for you, truly, that's all that matters. My husband, Sean, he always says to me, a true test of a model is its usefulness. There is so much, there's so many examples that I could share, that there are so many ways, for example, in my business, that oftentimes we go against the grain, right? There are certain foundational, successful reseller tips that I've named in videos that a lot of resellers truly do, right? Like a lot of us have in common. We ship quickly, we answer messages, we list daily. But going beyond that, there are so many individual strategies that, for example, work well for me that may not work well for you and might actually work well for the next person. In my business, for example, I use the same title structure for all of my listings that I've used for years. It's based off of an eBay recommended title structure that I learned about 2 years ago now. And since then, eBay has now given out multiple different recommended title structures since then. Some of them similar to what I do, some of them not. I haven't changed anything about my title structure in the last 2 years. Why? Because I make sure that I keep a 90% sell-through rate for all of the items that I list in my store, and I have not once seen that go down, so I'm not going to be changing it. As another example, there was a member in Resellers Edge University that I don't remember what he sold exactly, but it was a blazer. And he sells a ton of blazers. This specific blazer had a 10% sell-through rate, and he sold it so quickly. I share videos on my Instagram all the time about how I sell Loft or Forever 21 or H&M even quicker and for more money than Lululemon. It's one of the favorite series that I'm doing right now on my social media. And then when I look up the sell-through rate, for example, of let's say Forever 21 sweater, right now it's like 10%, right? Does that mean that because it has a 10% sell-through rate, I can't keep it in stock in my store, that I should just stop sourcing it just because it doesn't do well for anyone else? To me, that answer is no, because I am highly focused on what actually is working well for me. That's why I share in all of my videos that these are strategies based on my experiences, really trying to give in a way that it helps you, because you never know what might be that strategy that works well for you. Those last two parts of that sentence is so incredibly important, which is why if there is anyone telling you out there, whether it's on social media, in your personal life, unsolicited advice, whatever it is, that's trying to tell you exactly what you need to do in your business and what you're doing wrong in your business, but hasn't sat down with you and hasn't seen your numbers, how are they actually coming to that conclusion? And should you really listen to them? So, what am I doing and what should you do too? Unless you know how any platform change or any strategy that you're already doing in your business already affects you, you can't make any decisions at all. And you only can know this by knowing your sales numbers and your data. And even then, any changes that you do decide to make would have to be based on a realistic time frame with those new changes being implemented. For example, in my business, I don't make any new decisions in my business based on 1 week or 1 month of bad sales. Honestly, bad sales or good sales, I'm still not changing things after that 1 month. I wait to see how it plays out on a longer time horizons. Specifically, I ask myself these questions that I'll also pose to you right now. Number 1, do I need to change? Don't answer this if you haven't already done step 1. Number 2, if so, what specifically, and you can back this up with that data that you just got with step 1, do I need to change? And number 3, how do I do that as effectively as possible? So if after asking yourself these same 3 questions, you decide something does have to change, I personally, and I'll share this because I often like to share things that I have either done in my business, went through in my business, especially when I don't hear a lot of other people talk about it. I have had, in terms of my entrepreneur journey, a really rough time with making decisions from a place that doesn't feel like I'm making them out of emotion, that I'm making decisions based in data, right? I'm making decisions that's rooted in, this is a good decision for my business, not just a rash reaction based on emotion, right? But truly, I'm doing what's best for my business, even if it means that I'm taking accountability for something that maybe it wasn't even my fault. That was such a tough pill for me to swallow. And Sean said one thing to me, my husband, when I was first starting out and I was really trying to make this into something real and tangible that we could really just exist and support our lives on. He said this one thing to me. It empowered me to take control of my business and share this to you guys today in a way that I would not have been able to share because I wasn't doing it a few years ago. This is what he said. He told me, and I'm reading word for word because it's so good that I don't want to get it wrong. If something isn't working in your business, even if it's not your fault, it is your responsibility. And that changed everything for me. Like, I needed to hear that so much. And I told myself, okay, if something isn't working, take the blame out of it, right? And that's why I've rooted today's video to you guys in data, because it is the only thing that worked for me. You are not a bad reseller if you're having slow sales right now. You're not a bad reseller if you feel like a platform is changing and you're getting left behind. You're not failing. It has nothing to do with you, and it's not an indictment on you. And if you're like me and you either take things personally when it comes to business or you make emotional decisions, that changed everything for me. Making sure that I'm business first. I'm putting my business first and putting my personal feelings aside. It definitely hurts, right? After that 1 month of slow sales, but I'm not wrecking everything that I have built over the last few years because I had 1 month of slow sales. I'm not changing all the systems that have worked and are proven to work because in one short period of time, I had all of these things fall on me. That sometimes it just happens. If something is working, unless proven otherwise, on a long time horizon, I keep going and I keep doing what is working regardless of those changes. Once those changes affect me, that's when I ask myself, what do I need to change in my business? And if they're not, I don't. So if something isn't working for you in your business right now, and I mean in your business, not listening to what either anyone else is saying or whatever platform change or brand that isn't doing well for the entire reseller community. No, focus on you, because you are what matters. And if something isn't working for you, whether it's slow sales, right? Whether it's anything like that, you can change it, right? Take proactive action. And I'm not saying that we have to blow everything up. I'm talking about in small ways, because small things, small changes can have such tremendous results. By small ways, here are just some examples that I've done in my business that I think can make a huge change in yours. For example, start cross-listing to another platform, rework your stale listings, learn more about keywords. This one was everything for me to improve your listings. Take control of whatever you can control. If you do feel that lack of control as we go into reselling in 2026, believe me, doing one of these will absolutely change your mindset. And once you change your mindset, then your business can go wherever you want to take it to. Remember, you can't control if the seeds that you planted actually grow, but you can and you should plant the seeds. So sometimes sweeping change isn't what's needed. It's just those little adjustments. It's those adaptations that can make all of the difference for you. I'm going to round this out with step number 3, and this is something that honestly I've been doing for years. Every single time there's either been a period of turmoil or I've wanted to make sure that I'm taking my business to the next level. It's probably the reason that we've been able to run our business at its max potential over the years, no matter what different version of it we're running. And that is, I am always continually learning and I'm adapting, especially to what buyers actually want, meaning what is in demand and more importantly, why. So in 2026, at the end of 2025 right now, and especially I don't see this slowing down at all as we go into the new year, there is no more buying the same brands that you did years ago if you are a seasoned reseller like me. Or if you're a newer reseller, there is no buying a random bull list that you find online and blindly buying the same brands that you heard someone say did well on the internet. I'm not saying that those are bad strategies. However, again, the theme of this video is all about you, not me. Even though I framed it as what I'm doing in the beginning of this video, truly, What does the best for me over the years and what I recommend to any reseller I talk to, whether it's in my social media, whether it's in Reseller's Edge, it's not about what performs well for me. It's about how is an item performing in the market, and then even more importantly, rechecking if you've sold it in the past, how is it performing currently for you? That's because these same items and the same brands that maybe you sold a couple years ago that did have a 100% sell-through rate or close to it, a lot of them don't anymore. And on a positive note, some of the brands that did awful years ago, they're having a resurgence now, and it could be an incredible opportunity for you and your business, and such a great reward for staying on your toes and keeping your pulse on the market. And my favorite part of this is buyers aren't brand blind when they're shopping online, and that means neither should we. A huge part of my business is based on style, and now more than ever, I think that as we go into the next year, it continues to be more and more important. Style-based sourcing and selling your items even faster and for more money using style aesthetics and keywords, that's something that I have learned and I've mastered over the years, and I love to share more about here on my YouTube, on all of my social media, because I've seen firsthand how it impacts people's businesses. Taking our mindset shifts and going from maybe there's not as many great brands in the thrift store anymore, you're feeling like there's more competition in your area, and that accompanied with these platform changes, I get it. Like, I get it if you're feeling either stuck. I get it if you're feeling frustrated or like you don't know what to do coming into the next year. Instead of feeling stuck, instead of feeling those negative feelings, I looked around when I was really feeling honestly down, bringing it back to I take things personally. So when I wasn't finding great brands and I felt like I was a bad reseller, I learned style-based sourcing. I learned how to pick up great styles even when I wasn't finding great brands at the thrift store. And I guarantee if you are struggling to pick up items for your business that sell well, that sell quick, there is a category that you can learn, because that learning and that staying absolutely in the know with what buyers want, that's an opportunity. That's not a task for us to look at. No, that is an opportunity with such great reward for us as resellers. Buyers are telling us what they want to buy. We just have to listen. We have to listen to what the trends are when it comes to social media, what style aesthetics are blowing up. I share some of them on my page here, and listening to not just what social media trends and style trends are, the platforms themselves have such a wealth of information. I personally have a research plan that I do every single week. I check on how different style aesthetics are performing seasonal. I check on how different brands are performing in different styles. And more than that, I make sure that I'm taking the resources that I actually have available to me, the brands that I find most often, and I'm figuring out, am I actually making sure that I know exactly what those styles are in those brands that I find all the time that perform even better than everything else? How can I make sure that when I'm at the thrift store, I can build my biggest tower just by knowing all the different styles, all the different niche under the radar brands, and it will never be a bad thrifting day. You can do the same thing. Just like different platform changes are gonna ebb and flow, how different brands perform is gonna ebb and flow, and different styles, they ebb and flow as well. Not taking that as a negative as, man, like fairy core was really selling well for me during the summer. We're moving into winter months and now I can't sell anything lighter colored. Going into my sales data, going back to step one and figuring out, okay, what is selling well for me right now? Maybe it's darker colors, style aesthetics like whimsigoth that people love during the winter. How do I make sure that I know that style aesthetic like the back of my hand, go to the thrift store, find great items to resell, list those with high quality listings, price them right, and move those out of my store. It is an opportunity for us as resellers to make the most out of what we have available to us. You don't need to find great brands to be a successful reseller. And if you're having slow sales right now, it doesn't mean you have to burn everything down and start anew. Sometimes those small changes, just like I talked about in the last step, maybe that small change for you going into the new year can be picking one or two style aesthetics that you want to learn. And I promise you, you will find there is such a wealth of profit at the thrift store by opening up your mind to what other items that maybe you're leaving behind. These are the 3 steps that I'm doing in my business to make sure that I'm ahead of the curve going into 2026. And the best part is, I believe all 3 of these you should do in yours. I made them in a way that I don't need to know your business. I don't need to know your numbers in order to advise you from the bottom of my heart that I think that if you do these things, you will succeed in 2026. Best part is you mix them and you adjust them based on what actually works for you in your business, change what's not, and do what's working for you. Drowning out the noise. The best part is I actually made a video very similar to this back in 2024 when we were heading into 2025. I shared very similar steps as my decisions and what I'm going to do as my reactions to very different changes that we were facing in the reseller community going into 2025. I didn't tell you this at the start of the video, not to trick you in any way, but to show you that continuity in your business and making decisions that are based on data, not emotional, rash reactions, that is what builds a strong foundation, not only for us as resellers, but you're a business owner. Whether you've listed and sold one item, 1,000, 10,000 items, you're a business owner. And that is exactly what I would do in my business today, tomorrow, the next day, no matter what changes come to me, no matter the year. These are the 3 things I'm doing, and they're exactly what I would tell you, whether you're here on my YouTube, you're in Reseller's Edge, or otherwise. I will never tell you what to change in your business if I do not know your numbers. However, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing in mine, because truthfully, as a business owner, I think every successful reseller can follow this every single year. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one with many more just like this to come. If you like content like this, and is there a part in today's video that I shared that you'd like to hear more about, I'd love for you to comment it and let me know down below. I'd love to make more videos really expanding on exactly what you guys want to know more about as we head into the new year. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.